After the huge reveal of number 8 in Season 2, 11 didn't meet up with any other numbers in Season 3 of Stranger Things, kind of leaving her history of the Hawkins lab up in the air. But what if that whole time she did actually encounter another number? What if the Mind Flayer is actually number 1? Now hear us out as we break things down, speculate a little bit, and discuss the personal vendetta the Mind Flayer seems to have against 11. First of all, let's talk about the number 1 and how this could even be possible. From what we've seen on the show, 11 was kidnapped at birth and raised in the lab simply as a number. She was able to play and interact with number 8 on occasion, but was mostly solitary and left alone so her papa, Dr. Brenner, could have a psychological hold over her. One of the flashbacks with 11's mother revealed a young girl playing in the Rainbow Room with number 8. Number 8 was clearly older than 11, meaning that these numbers were not collected at the same time, but rather sequentially one after another, probably through the years as Dr. Brenner conducted various experiments. So you would have to assume that number 1 was probably in their 30s or 40s by the time 11 arrived on the scene. Dr. Brenner's older age would indicate a lifelong dedication to his work and harnessing the powers of these young children. And we imagine there would be a ton of red flags if 11 children were kidnapped in a single year. Dr. Brenner clearly has the patience to wait things out and find the perfect subjects for his testing. For 11, the powers she harnessed included the ability to use telekinesis along with the tracking of people. Her powers were seemingly put to use to spy on others, including a Russian. With the proper equipment and gear set in place, these powers seemed like the norm for Dr. Brenner as he barely blinked an eye when 11 destroyed a soda can and had blood drip from her nose. Knowing 11's powers and the reality-altering powers of number 8, we have to wonder if number 1 had similar abilities, or abilities so strong that they ended up creating the alternate dimension known as the Upside Down. Maybe the Mind Flayer wasn't formed in the Upside Down, but number 1 created this dimension and has been trapped there for several years. Part of 11's experiments shown back in Season 1 of the show focus on her going into a suspended tank and finding a way to travel great distances. This is where she first runs into the Demogorgon. And after making contact with the monster, Dr. Brenner is intrigued enough to have her go back and make contact again. It's through this experience where the gate to the Upside Down is initially opened and the Demogorgon gains access to the real world. Dr. Brenner's intrigue with exploring this monster and the Upside Down may directly correlate with his experiments on number 1. Clearly, the Mind Flayer has incredible powers. It's able to control the minds of others, manifest itself into multiple bodies, and show extreme intelligence. With the psychological powers seemingly greater than 11's, it only makes sense that the Mind Flayer is actually number 1 from Hawkins' lab. So years before 11 was even born, number 1 may have been going through a plethora of experiments, testing the mind powers and pushing the person to their limits. In an event similar to 11 opening the gate to the Upside Down, maybe number 1 created the dimension and found a way inside without leaving a gate opening behind. This world could have been created with the monsters already in it, or are all creations of the Mind Flayer using humans or different types of abilities. From what we've seen so far, the Mind Flayer has been nothing more than a shadow monster with a massive size and seemingly monstrous proportions. But we've never had quite a clear view of the monster without shadows, clouds, and dust blocking the vision. Much like how number 8 can warp and change reality, the Mind Flayer may have changed its appearance and adapted to the dimension it lives in. Or maybe the monster has adapted to the world around it, building the Upside Down based off the real world and changing their appearance to live and thrive among other monsters. And adaptation is key for the Mind Flayer. The creature, whether it's connected to the Hawkins lab or not, has shown extreme intelligence. One of the best examples comes from the scene in which the Mind Flayer controls Billy and confronts 11 inside of her own vision. The Mind Flayer showcases how it has adapted and become stronger, with 11 as its main target. It knows the threat that 11 possesses, how 11 unleashed the Upside Down back into the real world, and how it's going to end everyone. While we don't get too deep into the motive of the actions, the plan showcases a lot of anger and resentment towards 11 and people in general. After failing in Season 2, the creature knows it must go bigger and stronger, with a Billy and various citizens of Hawkins. The monster is not a mindless creature attacking anyone in its way. There are specific plans and intelligent actions the monster has taken. We've heard it talk and understand the psychology runs much deeper than we thought. With a clear focus on mind powers and abilities, the Mind Flayer has more in common with both 11 and 8 than we even realized. The creature checks several boxes associated with all the research we know Dr. Brenner has done. Connections to Hawkins' lab and the possibility of the Mind Flayer being number 1 goes all the way back to season 1 of the show. In one of the final moments, we witness Will puking up a slug-like creature in the bathroom sink. And then in season 2, we see the Mind Flayer use that connection to manipulate others, control Will's mind, and use him as a pawn. Will just wasn't strong enough or powerful enough to do the monster's work like Billy was in season 3. But while in Will's body, the Mind Flayer is able to get everyone to go to Hawkins' lab to trap them and cause the big battle with the Demo Dogs. And we have to think the Mind Flayer chose the lab for a specific reason. It may have recognized the area, was in search of Dr. Brenner, and wanted to use the opening to unleash the full extent of its powers. Once 11 returned and closed the gate to the Upside Down, the Mind Flayer learned just what type of opponent it was going up against in the form of 11. 11 was much like the Mind Flayer, with her ability to not only move objects, but go into the minds of others and track them down. The Mind Flayer clearly thought that they were the only ones with these powers, and getting defeated by 11 changed his perspective greatly. So during the closing moments of season 2, when we see the large shadow monster loose in a snowball dance, the monster isn't there to target Will again. It clearly has its sights set on 11, wanting to push her to her limits before destroying her and everything she knows. Whenever the monster was able to enter the other dimension or possibly create it is unknown, but they clearly knew no other numbers existed. Not until 11 made her first contact with the Demogorgon and connected both realities again. And Dr. Brenner knew the dangers that were unleashed while contacting the Upside Down, but his whole motive of contacting number 1 again and bringing the experiment back home makes a lot more sense if the Mind Flayer was actually his very own test subject. The whole connection to 11 and number 1 only makes sense as well. It helps make the story run full circle. The show began with 11 escaping Hawkins' lab, opening the gate and releasing the Mind Flayer. Ending with this arc and a huge reveal could connect everything and tie up the pieces with Dr. Brenner and Hawkins' lab.
All this time we've been building it for you.
The creators of Stranger Things, the Duffer Brothers, have even alluded to this in previous interviews. While creating the Mind Flayer, they didn't just want a mindless monster roaming around and killing others, they compared the monster to Voldemort and his journey in the Harry Potter series. And so far, the comparison makes complete sense and lines up with what the show has already given us. Voldemort wasn't just a random villain thrust upon Hogwarts. He has a deep-rooted history with Harry, and the same may apply if the Mind Flayer is number 1 and connected to 11 more than just the encounter in Season 1. Voldemort tried to destroy Harry Potter when he was just a baby, but Harry was able to resist the evil wizard, much like how 11 opened the Upside Down and defeated the Demogorgon from Season 1. The Mind Flayer has also shown the ability to manifest itself onto others like Voldemort has done numerous times over the years. In Harry Potter, we've seen Voldemort take possession of Quirrell, literally forming his face on the back of his head. While Will didn't grow a second face, he was possessed by the Mind Flayer for some time and still had basic control and function, much like Quirrell. And then, Voldemort's plans only grew bigger and more complicated, like the way the Mind Flayer took over dozens of humans and created a giant monster in Stranger Things Season 3. The whole thing may enter too much copycat territory if Hawkins is suddenly the location of 7 Mind Flayer Horcruxes, but we get the point. This is no coincidence. The Mind Flayer chose Hawkins for a reason, targeted 11 for a reason, and won't back down until they get their full revenge. And the intentions are extremely clear when there are no other targets for the Mind Flayer. The Russians are literally trying to break into the Upside Down, but Billy didn't care about attacking the underground lab located at Starcourt Mall. His goal was focused on 11 and her circle of friends. And even without her powers, 11 was able to win again thanks to Joyce and Hopper closing the gate. So now the Mind Flayer will seek out revenge, but with 11 moved out of Hawkins, things could get a little interesting. So what does the future hold for 11 and the Mind Flayer? Well, with the seeds set in the first season, we could be flooded with a whole lot of numbers for Season 4. If the Mind Flayer is actually number 1, then the only way is with some other numbers up her sleeve. She already has access to number 8, but a little more brain power with superpowers may be just what it takes.